Hello and welcome to the Fleet Repair Solutions Hot Melt Reefer Liner Repair instructional video. We'll start off with the suggested kit contents. Your kit should contain the hot melt patch material, a heat gun at least 1200 watts, a pair of scissors, cooling bars, duct tape, and the instructions. The first step before you install the patch is you need to make sure that the wall liner is clean and free of debris like fiberglass frays or caulk or loose foam or liner material. You want to make sure that the cut is clean and flat against the wall. So you can see me hammering the wall liner against the foam there. It's because that bottom side wasn't even. It was actually popped out a little bit. So if I install the patch over that, you're going to see that, you'll see that lip there. So you want to make sure that wall is good and flat, no debris, no little burrs. You can see it's got a little vertical cut going there. I'm going to have to take a utility knife and open that up for a relief cut so that can sit flat. So if you need to cut a little bit out, but you don't want to take out too much material, it says specifically in the instructions not to remove any unnecessary substrate in the wall liner, so don't cut out too much wall liner material or foam, and just make sure it's flat. In addition to the wall liner being flat, it's also extremely important that the wall liner be adhered to the foam well. If there's a bubble in the patch, it will be difficult to apply the patch and it will be weak. If necessary, glue the delaminated portion with glue or some quick drying Siloprene and brace it with a load lock before installing the patch. So now you can see I'm cleaning up the patch with some gum cutter. My hands are pretty dirty and my hammer has some grease on it, so you want to make sure you get that clean. Don't want to use anything nasty like brake cleaner, just some gum cutter, and just clean off the area that you're going to put the patch on. So next I'm marking out the sides of the damage so I know how long to make my patch and how wide to make it. So when I mark this out, I think these cuts were about 21 inches. So an inch past on each side is what they recommend. So length, I'll make that 23 inches. And for the width, they recommend 1 inch past the damage on each side. So 1 inch past the bottom, but I also have to take in that vertical cut into consideration. I have to go an inch above that. So total width is going to be 3 inches for that patch. When you're putting the patch on the wall, again, just make sure it's centered on there. You want to make sure that it's parallel with the floor if possible, for aesthetic reasons, make it look nice. Now that I have the patch where I want it, I am going to use a pen to draw a little reference line on the top of the patch where it meets the wall liner. I'm doing this because it is very easy to get off track when you're holding the one end of the patch and the other hand has a heat gun. It's easy to get off track and get off the line, and when you step back and look at it, your patch is off that side. So I recommend, even for small patches, to make a reference line either on the bottom or the top so you can see where you're going to make sure you're staying straight. I'm using a piece of duct tape to stick the one end of the patch material to the wall, so when I'm feeding it in with my hand, it's not moving all over the place. Now that the patch is taped in place, we're ready to apply heat. Grab the heat gun and put it on high. Starting at the taped end of the patch, wave the heat gun from the wall liner to the patch material for about 30 to 60 seconds to heat up the patch material in the wall liner. Then focus the heat in the center of the wall liner and the patch material, waving it up and down with slight spring tension on the patch material, so when it gets hot enough, it moves itself onto the wall and it slowly feeds itself onto the wall as heat is applied. When applying heat with a heat gun, focus the heat 60% on the patch and 40% on the wall. Be careful, as you can easily overheat the patch and it will droop or sag, and you can overheat the wall as well. You'll see the wall liner itself blistering up and you start to see the fiberglass strands. So you just want to find a happy medium when it's just falling onto the wall and feeding itself into the wall, and you just keep going with that. When you get to the end of your patch, use one of the supplied cooling bars to roll over the entire length of the patch to cool it down. This cooling down is critical to lock the patch onto the wall. Because of loading and unloading, the front and back of the patch will see the most abuse. Therefore, it's a good idea to reheat the front and back of the patch and try to create the smoothest transition between the patch and the wall liner as possible. Be careful not to overheat or overwork the patch. Too much heat and the patch will burn. If you press too hard on the roller, you'll squeeze too much of the glue out, leaving only the fiberglass strands not adhered to the wall.